In this video, we're going to be taking another look at the Tom Brown Tracker. Now, I have done one full-length review on the Tracker knife, but I got a question from a subscriber the other day that I believe has warranted the need for another video on this knife. Stick around. One of my subscribers had put in a request if I could do a video throwing the Tom Brown Tracker knife. And I was excited about this question because when I did the initial review of the Tom Brown Tracker here, I did not throw it that much. I was kind of afraid to do a lot of throwing with this knife when I first got it because I was just so happy to finally have it. And I didn't want to bust the handle up. But, you know, as time has marched on, I have learned a lot about how to preserve the handles of a knife when you want to get out and throw it, because, you know, we pay too much for these things to not use our blades or to not do what we want to with them. Now, I did not pay for this. This was gifted to me from a subscriber. Nevertheless, this has great value. This is about a $260 knife. What I started doing a while back was hockey taping the handles of my knives. I think this is a micarta handle here on this Tom Brown knife, and I have secured it with hockey tape. And one of the things I have learned over time is if you will secure your handle really good with hockey tape, you typically will not bust it or break it. And if you ever want to take the hockey tape off, it will not leave any residue. Now let's talk about throwing the Tom Brown Tracker, because there is some significance in the area of throwing this blade. Number one, the influence that the movie had upon people. I loved the movie The Hunted. That's where I heard of the Tracker knife, and that's where a lot of people heard of the Tracker knife. And in that movie, you see Benicio del Toro throwing this big Tracker knife and hitting trees and throwing from great distances. And a lot of people, man, naturally are like, I want to get out and do that as well. Heck, I was one of them. Now, for the sake of those who have questions with regards to throwing the Tom Brown Tracker knife, yes, this does have a different dynamic to it, especially this big one. They make different sizes of this knife, but there are some things to understand when it comes to throwing this big one, and really just tracker knives in general. But when you're throwing a tracker, there's a lot of things to keep in mind, because this is not a standard throwing knife, though you can throw this any way you want to. You can do rotational throwing from different positions on the handle. You can do half spin, but it's not the best half spin thrower there is, just because of the way that it's built, the uneven surfaces and balances and everything. Now, you can do finger on the spine, but again, this is not the most inviting way to throw your tracker, though you can. You can also do no spin throwing with the tracker, but it's easier if you do hammer grip no spin, where you're kind of pushing this way. So there are some strengths and weaknesses when it comes to throwing a tracker. And this tracker right here outweighs most throwing knives by at least 1.75 pounds. This thing is almost 2 pounds. Now let's start some of the throwing tutorial on this video. Now we're going to start off with a rotational throw. Now I want you to look at the way this thing is built. I'm going to come across this just like this. Now this is going to allow me to do the closest distance rotational throw because I'm grabbing down on the end of the handle, but it fits my hand perfectly just like that. Now I can grip up here, but I can throw this and control this much better from here. I'm going to do a quick throw and then explain to you what I did. This is a heavier knife, so it doesn't travel through the air and do a full spin as quick as some knives. Again, this is almost 2 pounds. So I was at about roughly 12 feet from the target. Now, one of the things that's good for knife throwing when you first start off is to rest on your dominant leg and learn to cut straight down. I learned that a long time ago from Jason Johnson. Resting on your dominant leg and you're bringing the knife up and you're slicing straight down and letting go. Don't worry about when to release the knife. Just slice down and let go from about 12 feet away. Here's what it looks like in slow-mo. Now for you, it might not be 12 feet. It might be 10, 11. It just varies for individuals. But if the knife is hitting the target like this, you're too close. If it's hitting like this, you're too far away. Now you hear how hard that hit. That's because this knife is very sharp. I've put a nice edge on it and it's very heavy. I'm going to skip the half spin tutorial with the Tom Brown Tracker just because I'm not passionate about half spin throwing with this particular kind of knife. What you just saw was the rotational tutorial, but now I'm going to show you how you can hammer grip, no spin this knife. First, I'm going to demonstrate it, then I'm going to give you the tutorial. The ability to do a no-spin throw with this knife has all to do with bringing it back and creating a force that pushes the knife this way while letting it come out of your hand. Don't try to get too much distance in the beginning. Just get out about 7 or 8 feet and give it a try. This is what it looks like. Here it is in slow-mo. You're maintaining your tracker, you're stepping up to throw, you pull it back, and then as you're coming forward, your hand comes open, you push and let it go. And yes, this is a very instinctive, combat-ready type of throw. Rotational throwing is very governed by distance, and you have to have those distances ingrained in your mind if you're going to do that throw instinctively. But with no spin throwing, you can be from a lot of varying distances, use the same faculties and make a stick. I'm going to go out, way out from the target and do a no spin throw, and I want you to see what it looks like. Now, when you go further out, you keep the faculties the same, but further distance out means more torque is going to be needed from your body. So for the Tom Brown tracker, I like rotational throwing and I like no spin throwing. I do want to anticipate a common objection though when it comes to no spin knife throwing. A lot of people don't like it to be called no spin because they see some turnover in the air with the blade. A lot of people, when they think of no spin, they just think whoosh, like an arrow, which with knife throwing, that's not possible. One of the reasons why it's called no spin is because it doesn't do a full half rotation, and it definitely doesn't do a full rotation. When we say no spin, it's not to be compared to an arrow. The movie The Hunted really makes you want to get out and throw this because there's a couple of really cool knife throwing scenes in that movie, you know, and I don't get caught up in who originally designed the tracker knife. I've got one video out there where it's a ton of comments coming at me about who the real designer was. I get it, I understand the controversy. Nevertheless, whoever designed it, it's an awesome knife. It's fun to use and it's absolutely fun to throw. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Do you have the Tom Brown tracker knife? Do you get out and throw it? Do you throw tracker knives in general? What's been your experience? How do you like it? I'd love to hear from you. Take care.